Okay, this video is looking at Mr. President from GMT Games. This is a geopolitical game. I've actually never played a board game like this. I've played some computer games based on this sort of subject, but a long time ago. Nothing you could play now. What I can say, this game is actually, it's outrageous in its scope. Probably only comparable to Europa Universalis. It's it just has so much in it. It's got the two boards here are basically, you've got your domestic politics over this side, and then you've got your international politics over here. Then we've got a little sideboard here for wars that are in progress. So there's a war in Afghanistan going on at the moment. If we look at the world itself, it's divided into a series of areas, each of which have things like American allies, how close they are, whether they're estranged or close or very close. You've got American forces, you've got like a domestic crisis for the American one and domestic issues on here. Central America is a bit more like a normal regional track, as it has regional alignment and stability cards. It has things like unstable states, terrorist groups in the area, US forces again, regional crisis level. You've got similar ones for South America. You've got Eurozone over there. You've got Middle East. You've got Eastern Europe. You've got Russian Federation and People's Republic of China, which are slightly different boxes again. They've got economic trackers and postures on there, and relations to the USA tracks, so they're slightly different. You've got things in the USA where there's a war. You can see it there, which corresponds to the war I just showed you on the war board. You've got rogue states like Afghanistan in place. You've got civil wars. So there's a civil war in Somalia at the moment. You've got tracks for Africa, Asia Pacific, Central Southeast Asia and Middle East. You've got presidential prestige trackers and action points. Action points are how many actions the president can take in a term. You know, his legacy points is how much he's achieved with being a president. I'll say he or she. You've got the public approval rating, that's important. There's about 14 ways you can lose this game, and the only way you can win it is by getting all the way through to the end of term with a certain set of conditions, which I don't know off the top of my head. You've got the domestic thing, you've got your cabinet, you've got your party relations, and you've got your, now this one's interesting, politics, cabinet, focus. There's nothing on those tracks. I'll have to check that, whether that's supposed to be like that, because the setup on this is really quite time consuming. You've got your president, he's got his attributes, you've got your key cabinet officials, you've got your legislation priorities, you've got public and administration priorities, you've got strategic capabilities, you've got crisis decks which you draw from, you've got trackers for Iran, nuclear stuff, you've got North Korean missile program, you've got your conflict states. These are states of all the major geopolitical conflicts that are in the world, and these can escalate into war if you're not careful. You've got your legislation you can take, you've got your main USA trackers, state of economy, homeland security, media relations, Congress relations, United Nations and world opinion. You've got your turn sequences, cabinet effectiveness, you've got your party relations. So there is absolutely tons going on here. To such an extent, there's sheets showing you all your actions you can take. There's 4 types of actions. You've got your military, presidential, diplomatic and domestic actions, all of which influence the board in lots of different ways. In terms of manuals, it's absolutely ridiculous. You've got your scenario book, which is pretty straightforward. You can play, I'm playing a sandbox scenario from 2020 onwards, but you could play a scenario for any presidential term up to that particular point. So it's put in 4-year blocks. So you'd start the first one 2000, you'd be presented with the 9/11 crisis to deal with. So there's lots of interesting scenarios there. You've got your turn sequence flip book, which actually shows you how all your turns work. Imagine having a manual just to tell you how your turns work, because this is a turn sequence track. Each turn is a year, and you've got all these different draws and actual rounds in which you've got to do certain things. So you've got that. You've got lots of scenarios. You've got how to play. That's just a basic little introduction on how to play. You've got examples of play and designer notes. You've got your world here. You've got your China and book. You've got allies and rogue state books, and you've got your Russian manual. You've got world charts, domestic charts, and you've got your governing manual. So that's a hell of a lot of stuff. Now apparently this game isn't that difficult once you get going, but there's loads and loads of interlocking parts, all moving at the same time. I've heard it is very, very difficult to actually succeed. Though I've got it set up, you can have an easy game, a normal game, or a hard game. I've got it set up as a bit, or a hybrid game. Mine's a little bit of a hybrid game. There's a lot of it's set to easy, but some set like the fact that there's one war in progress is actually a medium or normal difficulty scenario setup, but I didn't think it was realistic to start from 2020 without having the Afghan war in place. So as I say, you can hybridize the setup any way you want. I believe no, I haven't actually started playing yet. All these crises drive the whole game in terms of what's going on domestically and international. We've got things that are called cascading crises that have multiple effects. You might get one effect like a rebel uprising somewhere, and then a bit down the line, if you haven't sorted that out, there'll be another one, a rebel takeover or whatever. So not all events are just single things. They can lead to a potential chain reaction that could get out of control if you're not careful. I don't know about this game. It looks a bit intimidating, but I haven't let that stop me before. It's certainly interesting, and as I say, it is audacious beyond belief in its scope. But there you are, introduction to Mr. President.